Hello, hello. It is 4:50 p.m. Friday, February 21st, 2025. Mark Kulak, Qsatonic.live. And this is a short video. I just wanted to review the timeline of something that I believe you will find to be quite fascinating here. For those of you who use the iPhone from Apple Corporation is a line of smartphones developed and marketed by Apple that run, of course, their iOS operating system. You can find a good history of it on the on Wikipedia. The development of an Apple smartphone actually began in the year 2004, when the company started to gather a team of 1,000 employees, led by an engineer named Tony Fadella, and then the Apple CEO. So it took about, 2 years from the development of, from the start of the project, maybe even 3 years, to get the iPhone going. Also, right around that same time, in 2004, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., now current Health and Human Services Director of the United States of America, and he became the, of course, the CEO or president of Children's Health Defense, which consumed the World Mercury Project and kind of hijacked that in 2015, 2016. He wrote an essay called Deadly Immunity, which you can also read about on Wikipedia. And in there, he talks about the adjuvants, the thimerosal, the use of mercury additives, and how it might be one of the reasons why autism is linked to vaccines. And he wants better science so we can have safer vaccines. Well, let's just, visually we can go along the iPhone development a little bit further than that. And I think this video here can help capture that. Let's cue this one up here. We can see that on June 27th, June 29th, 2007 is the first iPhone. And then in 2008 was the iPhone 3G. Let's look at some of those specs here. We got, that was $200, 2 megapixel camera. And right around this time, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was trying to figure out if we could have better science to look at the adjuvants and the additives to vaccines, like thimerosal, to have safer vaccines. So then 3GS, that came out around 2009, up to a 3 megapixel camera, 256 megabytes of RAM. And around the same time, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was looking at the adjuvants, asking if we could just look at mercury, maybe even consider Andy Wakefield's breakout research, that maybe we should break out the components of the MMR vaccine so that we can have safer vaccines, because he's, of course, pro-vaccine. Up to 32 gigabytes of storage in the year 2009. And then in 2010, the iPhone 4 came out. Still 32 gigabytes of storage, but up to now 3.5-inch display, 5 megapixel camera. Now you got the selfie camera as well. And right around this time, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is looking at the adjuvants, wanting safer vaccines through better science, like trying to figure out what this thimerosal is doing. In the year 2011, the iPhone 4S came out. Let's see here, 8 megapixel camera right now, 64 gigabytes of storage, up to half a gigabyte of RAM. And I think around this time, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wants us to have better vaccines, safer vaccines, by digging into the adjuvants. If we can just look at things like mercury, let's focus, and maybe we can figure out this autism link that, of course, other people are denying. In the year 2012, the iPhone 5 came out, 8 megapixel camera right now, gigabyte of RAM. And I think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is working his way up to asking about the thimerosal and the mercury and the other additives to vaccines, because we need safer vaccines. In the year 2003, the iPhone 5C came out. We're up to 1.2 megapixel selfie camera now, 8 megapixel main camera, 64 gigabyte storage, or A6 processor. And around this time, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is looking for safer vaccines to protect the children because he's very pro-vaccine. We just want safer vaccines. And, well, there's this autism thing that people keep talking about. It might be linked to the additives. Of course, Fauci and other people say he's crazy for even suggesting such a thing. This one has a SIM card slot as well and color options. In the year 2013, September 20th, we had my birthday actually, iPhone 5S, we're up to the 8 megapixel camera right now, the A7 processor. And I think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is trying to figure out how we can get safer vaccines. We look at these adjuvants, and these mercury, and all this other stuff we put in them that's inherently unsafe. On September 19th, 2014, we have the iPhone 6. A gigabyte of RAM, still the A8 processor. Hello, 128 gigabytes of storage. And I think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is looking at the adjuvants. We need to look at the things that are put in the vaccines. Maybe the storage as well, but we need to, because this stuff is inherently unsafe, and what we need is safer vaccines for the kids. 2014, the iPhone 6 Plus now also. So now you got more screen space. More screen space to help Robert F. Kennedy Jr. read those papers about all the adjuvants and the mercury and the other additives to the vaccine. I mean, I know that the NIH and Fauci and so on and Paul Offit say that that's not a problem, but anyways, it could be with the autism link. On September 19th, 2015, we have the iPhone 6S, A9 processor, now 2 gigabytes of RAM. And I think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is looking at these adjuvants, these additives to vaccines that some people say, might actually be causing cancer, heaven forbid. You can actually, read more about that here. This is the Washington Post. Robert F. Kennedy belief in autism vaccine connection, and it's a political peril. Wow. Of course, he's a victim because his dad was shot. Of course, there's thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of other people that they're victims too because they have kids crippled for life or murdered or died because of vaccines. But, we shouldn't let that get in the way. He's trying to save us with, by looking at these adjuvants. And I think it's really heroic of him. By the way, here's Robert F. Kennedy Jr., dating a younger blonde woman, of course, always trying to upgrade, next to Al Gore. Now, Senator. Now, what's interesting is that Al Gore, his dad, also a senator from Tennessee, was actually one of the closest allies of none other than Estes Kefauver. Estes Kefauver was really the main name, the real driver of a lot of the legislation that went into the 1962 Food and Drug Administration Antitrust Act. And as a matter of fact, that act was leveraged to some extent, I don't know exactly how significantly, the very first United States patent or intellectual property lawyer or patent attorney that the United States Department of Antitrust division within the DOJ, which at that time in 1962 was run by Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s father. They were looking at all of these antitrust problems with the FDA. Eventually, it went on to look at the anti-cancer vaccine, of course. But, he's probably, looking for the adjuvants there and trying to figure out how we can get these safer vaccines, because that's what we need. We need the safer vaccines and the pursuit of just finding the right adjuvant. And 2015, iPhone 6 Plus. It's around the same time. I guess there's a little bit of redundancy here, but, all of this stuff is very helpful in seeking those adjuvants and trying to figure out that cause of autism. And then the iPhone SE, and it looks like the other new generation. We're up to 12 megapixel camera right now in March 31st of 2016. And let's see here. Of course, right around this time in 2016, we can see that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is now in the Bill Maher show. Actually, this was 2015. And they're talking about how do we find out this autism? What's causing this autism? Maybe it's these adjuvants. Maybe it's the mercury, it couldn't possibly be the vaccine itself, because vaccines are safe. They've always worked. But, there's some more autism. There's damage. Yeah, there's kids dying and being crippled and whatever. But, you need to find a new girlfriend first, I guess. And figure out what's up with all of these adjuvants. And of course, crowd is cheering because, he's doing the Lord's work, of course. Continuing on, while Robert F. Kennedy is busy looking at these adjuvants and trying to figure out how to make a safer vaccine, because we want vaccine safety for our kids. See, we got the iPhone 7 Plus going on in 2016. Now we're the iPhone 8 Plus, September 12th, 2017 right now. Now, of course, Brandy Vaughn is already, because of SB 277 out in California, she wanted to keep her child unvaccinated. She was fortunate enough to have had her child in Europe, and she had some background and having been at work, and she wasn't too trusting of pharmaceuticals. I don't think she ever dreamed one day she would withhold vaccinations, but this was her particular path, and based upon what she learned that the vaccines are tested less than any other product. And really, within a year, she already has some base knowledge, but within a year, she already had a billboard up. With her own money. She's spending her own money. Meanwhile, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is trying to figure out, my goodness, we need to dig into these adjuvants. What's causing this autism? It could be the mercury. It could be this other stuff that's going into these vaccines. That's no good. That's no good. And while, Brandy Vaughn, she gets on some more shows. She's getting some more visibility. She got on the InfoWars and Del Bigtree and so on. Of course, at this time, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has already, either his idea or he was told to do this, is already taken over the World Mercury Project. Because, you need that as a base knowledge to figure out, what's going on with this autism. Maybe it's these adjuvants in this mercury. We found some papers that shows there could be a link. Of course, there's papers that shows there's no link. So whichever way you go, you're going to find a paper that's going to meet your particular narrative. 2018, the iPhone XR, brilliant in every way. We're up to the 12 megapixel camera right now and the Apple A12 processor. But, what we're still looking for, what's going on with this autism. Maybe it's these adjuvants. Maybe it's these additives. Who knows? Could be a contamination. Judy Mikovits thinks that there could be mouse DNA or something. Mouse retroviruses causing chronic fatigue and everything else. Maybe she's actually saying that we should have a pause so that we could pursue a vaccine for chronic fatigue, probably made using mRNA or DNA. And yeah, that's exactly what the point was. But anyways, at Children's Health Defense, we're still digging into these adjuvants. We're looking at these additives and, it'd be crazy if someone would throw mercury in one of the vaccines. That's no safe. That's dangerous. 2018, we get the iPhone XS and then the iPhone Max screen. And, now it's September 10th, 2019. Brandy Vaughn is doing a lot of work with the CHD staff. They've been sending papers to the World Health Organization. She's had her life threatened. She's had to move around. She's been told she's a bad apple because Brandy Vaughn needs to trust these people who just want to get to the bottom of it with good science to make safer vaccines. Maybe it's these adjuvants. Brandy Vaughn is just being told that she's being ridiculous and picky and starting fights. And, you can't have, these virtue tests, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is busy looking at these adjuvants. He doesn't have time to be told he's not getting to the bottom of things. Just because, 20, 40,000 people at Apple have made progress on one of the most remarkable pieces of handheld machinery in human history. We still need to figure out, how do we make these vaccines safer? Maybe it's these adjuvants. Maybe it's this mercury. Who knows? Good thing Children's Health Defense is around. And, the evolution of the iPhone continues. We got the iPhone 11 Pro and September 10th, 2019, and the Max. And then April 15th, 2020, now we are into coronavirus times, the iPhone SE2, it's 12 megapixel camera. We got the Apple A13 Bionic processor. 3 gigabytes of RAM. That's impressive. That's really impressive. But over in Children's Health Defense, we're looking out for vaccine safety. We're looking out for the kids, and we want better science for safer vaccines. Maybe it's these adjuvants. Maybe it's these additives. We got some papers about it. Let's have another show. Let's have another webinar. October 13th, 2020, got the iPhone 12. And over Children's Health Defense, maybe it's this mercury, the thimerosal, and all this other wacky stuff they put in vaccines. We need safer vaccines for the kids because we're all about the kids, right? Let's put the children first. Because we're pro-vaccines, we wouldn't dare question the vaccine technology. Maybe it's the adjuvants. We got the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and then now we're up to September 14th, 2021. Of course, Brandy Vaughn at this time has died. I think she was probably potentially murdered with a fentanyl poisoning. She's already spent all her money. You can look at the address. You can realize that she's in some crap 2-bedroom apartment right now in Santa Barbara. She's already pretty much lost everything, driving a beater, used-up car. Of course, people are saying she's bad. She's just trying to stir the pot because, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and Children's Health Defense, they're busy looking for how to make vaccines safer. Maybe it's these adjuvants. Now we're working with Kevin McCurry. Maybe it's the DNA contamination in new vaccines. Judy Mikovits says the vaccines are being made just to kill people, but who knows? But, as Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said, we need safer vaccines. Now, of course, Children's Health Defense is already at the point where they no longer acknowledge the very existence of Brandy Vaughn. They won't say her name. The memorial page, which is the only existence left, is spelled wrong. And she's buried, dead, gone, never to be spoken of again. And that's it. Don't talk about the investigation, and that's it. Never, ever, ever mention her again. And attack anyone viciously that dares to talk about Brandy Vaughn. And matter of fact, just associate her with someone that she dated and maybe even suggest it was all QAnon. So now it's September 14th, 2021. It's about, 17 years after Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been looking at the additives to vaccines. We need safer vaccines, he says. Maybe it's this thimerosal. Maybe it's the mercury additives. I don't know. I mean, could be anything. You can understand he's only had 17, 18 years right now to get to the bottom of it. And you know what? To hell with anyone that won't just wait a little while longer for the hero to figure out how to make the vaccine safer. March 8th, 2022, we got the iPhone SE3, A15 Bionic chip, 4 gigabytes of memory right now. But, at the same time, now we're up to September 7th, 2022. We got the iPhone 14. But Children's Health Defense, they probably just upgraded their iPhone, probably with every generation, who knows. But now how do you make vaccines safer? We're looking after the kids. Maybe it's these adjuvants. Maybe it's the mercury. We got some papers over there that say it could be. Andrew Wakefield, he's gone through several swimsuit models by now. Maybe he knows. Maybe he can talk about the adjuvants and the mercury. And at the same time, upgrade his iPhone. We're up to, because it's only been right now, 17 and a half, 18 years since Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has first started to look at some of the, what's causing all this autism. What are we up to right now? We got the iPhone 15 on September 12th, 2023. 12 megapixel selfie camera right now. This stuff is crazy. And the iPhone 15 Plus, September 12th, 2023. It's only 19 years right now after, the deadly immunity paper to Salon and Rolling Stone. But maybe we made some progress. Who knows? There's still this autism thing. Maybe it's these adjuvants and the mercury that's causing it. There's some papers that say, could be that. And anyone that's, isn't in line with, staying on board with that, well, they're idiots. Maybe they should be killed because, safer vaccines. We need to do it for the kids, right? The kids' health really matters above all else. And of course, today, it's the year 2025, and it's only been now 20. We're closing in on 21 years, really, since we started to try to figure this out. Autism is really high. Maybe it's these adjuvants. Maybe it's the mercury and the thimerosal. If we can just have some safe science so we can get some safer vaccines. Because I think it is ridiculous to expect someone to figure this out in only 20 or 21 years. You got to have some patience. And Brandy Vaughn made the mistake of just not being patient enough. Yeah, I mean, just because she was able to figure it out and realize that it's really not the adjuvants, it's the underlying concept of trying to augment an immune system by injecting foreign genetic material. And that's the problem. She just didn't realize, though, that it wasn't really about the money. It's about the greatest experiment and project of all time, trying to harness the existing human population for medical research and to collect data on them as part of trying to reverse engineer the human genome and then advance our ability to augment life, extend life, improve life, and so on and so forth. So just hang in there, everyone. It's only been 21 years. Maybe we'll have the iPhone 45, and who knows? Maybe we'll finally figure out that it's the adjuvants or not. Who knows? Just hang in there, everyone. All right. Love you very much. You have a great, great night. God bless, and rest in peace, Brandy Vaughn.